So, you don't know any jokes, huh? You
Looks
don't know
like-
any Elvis jokes? I have an
like-
Elvis joke.
You have an Elvis joke?
I have an Elvis joke.
All right, let's hear it.
What would Elvis Presley say if he was alive right now?
What would Elvis Presley say if he was alive right now? How you doing, baby? No?
Let me out!
Let me let me out! Oh my goodness. Hey, this is live video.
I know.
So, you want to see my Elvis impression?
Yeah. The first part was really good because you set it up like you were really good.
Here I go, baby. Hello and welcome to the Connecting with Krista live talk show. And now your host, Krista.
Okay, so welcome to aspirationsws.com, Life Coaching Online. This is the first talk show. This is my special guest, Ken McGorry.
Hello.
He's a former DJ on
It used to be Cool 101.
Cool.
It's still WKNL, but 100.9 on your FM dial in New London, Connecticut. But that was a few years ago. They switched the format. I didn't really like the format, the new format.
Mm-hmm.
I could have stayed, but it wasn't me anymore.
And I was on your show.
Yes, you were. You were on my show?
That was fun.
We always have fun. We always have fun.
Yes, we definitely
I always had fun on my show, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Everyone that listened to it said they liked what I played, because I played something a little different, but not like Dr. Demento stuff. Okay.
Thing that we were going to do is we were going to check the messages. Yes, and I'm back. Oh, you're right. We need special mugs. Oh, I'm going to have some special mugs printed because that's what I do, wholesale printing.
There we go.
Yes, I will do that. That's awesome. Okay, thank you, Lisa. Oh, my goodness, my cousin. Hi, Christine. Mike, aw. Well, good. I hope you can only see the good half. All right, now we have a view of the ceiling. Okay, yes, Bonnie can hear us. Awesome. All right, so we have some comments coming in, and more people are coming in, which is totally awesome. And the sign looks absolutely fabulous. Oh, we're getting little. We're getting little fancy things on there too.
Streamers going across.
Yeah, we're getting little.
I can see them on
hearts
on the
and all
monitor
kinds
over
of
there, yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Some of the angry faces going across.
There's no angry faces. Everyone loves us. Okay.
Well, everyone loves you. They just haven't gotten to know me yet.
Well, as soon as they
Give
do.
them time.
Oh, look, see? More hearts and
I love
smiles.
it.
We're
That's
doing
great.
just fine. Okay, so we're going to use this for something else.
There
We're
you
going to
go.
make this multifunctional.
It's like Night at the Improv.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is that what it looks like?
No, it's kind of a joke, play on words. Night at the Improv
Because
is a comedy
This
thing.
is complete. We are improv right now.
But we're improvising.
Okay, so
Some people got
the
that.
first thing that we were going to do is we're going to go over. So this Thursday's talk show will be a summary of discussions on life, relationships, and career. And, oh, I was supposed to say something else first too. Aspirations workshops, how to change any aspect of your life for the better. And I've been doing these. I taught my first class in 7th grade, actually, surprisingly. And it was a psychology class. Back then, of course, I didn't know a whole heck of a lot, but I did teach a psychology class because one of my teachers offered me that. And after I was done actually doing the teaching, which was just a little presentation that I created, then I took the students one-on-one into this little, I guess it was a teacher's lounge, and we had a little one-on-one dialogue about the answers to their psychology questions with a little analysis of it. It went really well, and I had read the Bible cover to cover like a book back then, and when I read the Bible, I knew what my life's mission was. I had a lot of communication with God, and I was very sure, my whole life I've been very sure of what I was supposed to be doing. I ended up, writing books, doing personal improvement, helping myself and others do personal improvement with step-by-step, I'm not supposed to say, my editor told me I can't say step-by-step how-to because it's redundant. With step-by-step workshops on step-by-step workshops. I've always said it the same way for so many years.
To me, it makes sense to say that.
Step-by-step step-by-step workshops on how to do things. So how to change any aspect of your life for the better. So this is actually, the book is finished and it's going on Amazon. It's already on Amazon. It's just that it's not to the for sale section yet because I'm still editing it for printing, because people can actually order the book to be printed online, and then you'll get a paperback. And it's for sale for $9.99 on Amazon. I was trying to get it completely formatted for their printing because their printing is, they kind of shift it. For some reason, the pages shift. So I'm reformatting it, and I'm only about half done. I wanted to get that done today, too, but we were running around trying to handle the microphone situation because after New York, I realized that the video that I got from acting in New York City, Ken actually watched it with me. You can say it.
All I heard was, and I heard the guy going, exactly.
So they didn't have the mics. They just did the video camera, and it was done at the SVA, at the school there. It was supposed to be professional. I was supposed to get a demo reel out of it, and it's completely unusable. I need to what did I call it? Dub in? I need to dub in the vocals, the words, because you couldn't hear the words. And my co-actor, he was doing some interesting things in while he was sitting there waiting for my lines, so it kind of messes up my lines because my lines are talking to him. So it's really not usable for a demo reel. But anyways, that taught me that we needed to get mics. So that's what we spent today doing, was running around trying to find in Norwich, Connecticut, where can you buy good electronics? And you can't. So instead, we bought $10 electronics at, where did we end up?
Staples and Big Lots.
No, Big Lots.
Big Lots.
Yes, plug for Big Lots, because they actually have more electronics than everyone in this area, and better electronics, surprisingly, than any of them, for $10 and $5. Our kits cost, we got 2 kits for $15, and that's what you're listening to right now. So plug for Big Lots. Okay, so the topics for tonight, like we started to go over, is life, relationships, and career. So the big question, the first question is going to be, hi, more people are coming in. The big question, the first question tonight is going to be, what are some issues people have with life? And you guys can feel free to type in things, because I have my phone here to listen, message with you guys, so that this can be very interactive, because this is supposed to be online life coaching that you can benefit from immediately. And then we'll discuss some solutions too, so that it'll actually provide people with useful tools and resources that you guys can use to implement these ideas into your life to change any aspect of your life. Okay, so what are some issues people have with life? We came up with medical.
Medical issues?
Like, for example, pain.
There's pain, there's tumors, there's just medication, that a lot of people can't afford the medication.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Et cetera, et cetera. That's a whole other thing.
Disease,
right?
cancer,
disease.
stress, anxiety.
Stress and anxiety, yes.
Money.
money
and
to
then
pay for all of this. Again, goes into a political thing.
and not talking
Not
politics
tonight. Not tonight.
tonight.
No, I said that goes into something else. That could be another whole thing altogether.
And we're going to try and keep religion kind of out of it. There will probably be, because I'm a born-again Christian, there will probably be a little religion
And I'm
discussion.
not.
And Ken is not. So we
I'm at the other end of the scale.
came together for the purpose of being able to openly discuss things for everyone to benefit from.
We agree to disagree agreeably.
Yes, exactly.
That's
And
it.
also,
That's-
we agree on a lot of things.
We do.
Anyway, we do agree on a lot of things. So we will have discussions about that later, but on tonight's show, for our first show, we're going to try and stay away from politics and religion pretty much. Okay, so the other thing is satisfaction, life satisfaction, being happy, peace and enjoyment of your life. Contentment. Serenity now. Okay, so Lisa chimed in and said, working and no time to go to the doctor appointments and get life things completed, not enough time to fit everything in. Working, time. Excellent. That's actually a really excellent thing to add to this. And we're going to touch on the solutions. Oh, I can't comment on that. I can't do that. So, why does suffering exist is our next question. So what we're gonna be doing is there's 3 sections to each topic. So right now we're gonna talk about life. What are some issues people have with life? So we went through the questions, and now we're gonna say, why does suffering exist? And then the next thing is going to be how to change your life, how to solve these problems. So if anybody has any comments, you can feel free to chime in with why does suffering exist? During the other talk show that I did when I was a guest speaker on someone else's talk show the other night, we discussed what is the meaning of life and why is it so hard? And he actually had some really fabulous insights. His name is David Vaccaro. He is not the David Vaccaro that's the author that I worked with. He's another David Vaccaro that's on Facebook. And he does a live talk show also. So we discussed why is life so hard?
If it was easy, everybody would do it.
Everybody does.
Well, not everybody does it well.
But he had some good insights when we had that. You listened to it.
Yep.
So he had some good insights on there.
Yeah, he did. It's good to get a lot of different viewpoints. It makes you understand people better. So therefore, the more you understand, the better you are.
Yeah.
The better a person you are. You get more of a sense of what other people are going through.
Well, and I think that that's how people end up relating. I think that's
absolutely.
really, one of the comments that I actually made in that video was the misery loves company. Everyone says the cliches
Yep.
that I constantly blog are terrible to be saying. Cliches are usually negative things, and people say things like misery loves company, when in reality it's not that misery loves company. It isn't that, people want to bond over pain. It's that people want to bond. And because somebody else is suffering, you want to help them. You want to bond with them. You want to make them feel better, and you want to make them feel like they're not alone in it. So it's actually a bonding experience, and that's not, we're getting all kinds of other little things going in. It's not actually that misery loves company. It's that company loves company. So we're trying to have friendships with people and build that bond between other people. I'm not getting comments. I don't know if this froze. I'm getting things on that I'm not getting on this. I could see it scrolling, and I could see things going across that aren't coming up on my phone, so I'm not exactly sure what's going on there. So we're going to move to how to change your life. So I have a lot of videos online. One of the videos is how to improve any aspect of your life is one of the workshops. And I touch on these in the videos. They're all free online, and they're on the YouTube channel, How to Change Your Life. So one thing, there's a video on there that's called Hugs from Heaven, which is Christian sort of teaching, I guess. But it's Hugs from Heaven, and it's the concept of purest peace 24/7, 365, which is also the title of the book. So the overall, goal, the overall teaching, the overall revelation, the message is purest peace. So no matter what's going on, I actually have a lot of physical problems, a lot of, thank you for your graciousness. I actually have a lot of medical issues, a lot of problems physically, and struggles that I've had. I have severe PTSD, and thankfully Ken said the other day that he's not seen me very moody or emotional, and that was actually really nice to hear. Today, maybe. Today he saw me break down because I had a conversation with one of my friends that just really tore me to shreds and had me really doubting my mission and what's going on, what I'm doing tonight, and it just really just completely shattered me on a very deep level.
At first.
Yeah, and I talked to my pastor, so I feel a million times better now about it all. But it was rough, and that was probably the most emotional you've probably even seen me.
In a very, very, very long time.
Yeah. I don't think you ever saw me when Wes and I broke up, did you?
No.
I left right after that, so probably not then. But yeah, so I have that. I have a lot of diagnosis. They, say degenerative spine disease, arthritis in my neck. I had scoliosis when I was little, and they don't work on it if it's not bad enough. So as a grown-up, it pushed my spine down into each other, and pieces of the spine break off and pinch the sciatic nerve, which is unbelievably severe pain. I believe the worst pain there is. I've not had childbirth, but I imagine it's got to be on the level of that because it's absolutely horrible. Ken saw me one day get taken away by ambulance, completely screaming. I just can't even do anything else but scream because the pain is just unbearable.
And it's worse, not worse, but it's very bad on people around you because there's nothing we can do.
Yeah.
We can't hold you. We can't say anything to make you feel good. We can't do it. All we can do is watch.
Yeah. And that's actually
so painful to watch. It really was.
That's actually really true of life in general. That's a very good point about a lot of these other things that we're talking about here. And so the point and the purpose of how we can actually change our life so that these things don't disrupt our life so dramatically is to meditate on peace and to separate ourselves. So, for example, I was using pain as the first example because that was the first thing that we had listed on our thing from the comments that we got and early, before the show. And excuse me. I actually have someone that I life coached on this. I didn't see the name, but he may be on here, David. And he was talking about how it really does work. So I've used it on myself, and I've taught other people this, and it does work. To, opiates, like Percocet and Vicodin. I can't take them. I'm allergic. So I was crushed inside of a car door, and I can't take painkillers. So the only thing that I could take was aspirin. And, during all of these physical pains and all of these, this horrible walking around every single day with just everything completely aching and hurting and, very tight and, barely able to walk, not able to lift things, not able to vacuum or do things because there's just so much physical pain, especially the gluten intolerance that lasted, over 20 years. I didn't know. So by January, I was almost immobile. I was in bed just for months. I was just in bed, sick all the time, with just tons of physical problems, more diagnoses on top of each other. And really, the thing that I did in order to get over it is I separate myself like those opiates do, like the out of body experience I had when I had the car accident, where I can see myself over here in pain, but I meditate myself away from it. And that's what I do with emotional stuff as well, and these other problems. As far as money is another good example. You can't do anything about it if you don't have the money. When I was 18, I had just gotten divorced, and I had unbelievable stress headaches. Just every day I had horrible stress headaches and anxiety because I couldn't pay my bills. And I was working 2 jobs. I didn't have a car. I was taking taxis back and forth. And one day I had a revelation that was, if you can't change it, then let it go. Because there's no reason to be stressing over it. There's no reason to be worrying about it. If you're doing everything you can already do, that's all you can do. So beyond that, it's just let it go. Just let it go. You don't have to worry about it. You just let it go, and you live in that peace. You live in purest peace 24/7, 365, no matter what is going on. You just meditate on that, and it's just this unbelievable feeling of total peace that comes over you, and it doesn't matter what's going on outside of you. And that kind of actually just prompted me to think this, that relationships, it's the same exact thing moving into our next, this is called a transition, folks. So,
It's called a smooth segue.
yeah, smooth segue. Relationships, it's the same way. When you're in a relationship, you know, you're really happy with that person, and it's like the rest of the world just goes away. You know, like the two of you are the only 2 people in the world, and it's happy and, you know, blissful. Well, it's the same thing, except it's you doing that by yourself, because you need to be happy just as yourself, just existing in this world and living in your purest peace, you know, just basking in that purest peace instead of constantly being on the go, constantly worrying about everything.
You can't be in a relationship and give of yourself if you're not happy
True.
with yourself.
Exactly.
So this is what leads to a lot of problems in a relationship. Is the one person is insecure or whatever with themselves, or whatever,
Yeah.
they take that out on the other person.
That leads into both of the things that
Yeah.
we're talking about, actually. That's totally true. And that's a really good point, because it brings to the this other, we weren't going to discuss this as another topic, but it's all related to the same things, which is excellent. Is the, you know, they say you can't have a relationship if you don't love yourself, or you can't love somebody else if you don't love yourself. I completely don't agree with that statement at all. I do totally agree with the fact that you can't be in a relationship if you're not going to be happy. And if you're not going to be happy with yourself, you're not going to be happy with the other person either, because you don't know how to be happy. So you need to learn how to be happy. You need to learn how to be at peace. And then everything around you is going to be peace, because everything that isn't peace can't survive around you. It can't feed, so it can't be around you. And that's another thing that's in one of the workshops. I think it's in the Purest Peace workshop.
And you're not creating any of that
Negative energy.
negative energy.
Exactly.
Just by being positive.
Exactly.
The negative energy does not come your way.
Right, exactly.
I agree
Darkness
with
cannot
that
live where there is
100%.
light. Exactly. So that that being insecure, and that I don't love myself, I need to find myself. You can't be with someone else if you don't love yourself. If you actually think about it from a totally different perspective, now this is one of my philosophies. This is my out of the box thinking. If you are in a relationship, you appreciate yourself for how great you are in that relationship with that other person. You see yourself through the way the other person sees you, and you become your best because you love that person. So you are being your best. You're on your best behavior. You're your best self in that relationship. So it's actually the total opposite. You can't love yourself until you love someone else. You know, that's how,
I think that
I was waiting.
I think they feed off of each other.
Well, I'll agree
You know,
with that.
if you care for yourself enough to present yourself to another person, and that person is accepting, and I think it's a gradual thing. You start off here and then go, and then.
But you care about yourself no matter what. I mean, everybody does,
Everybody
fundamentally
does, yeah,
cares
for
about
the
themselves.
most part, yeah.
It's not like you don't care about yourself. It's not like you don't know yourself.
Right.
I mean, who else is going to know you ever if you don't know yourself? You know yourself. You just
Yep.
you just haven't taken the time to be alone to process it, while I've taken way too much time to be alone and process everything. So
I've been alone too long. 3 years.
5 years.
5 years.
5 years over here. So So, okay. So how to love yourself. The way to love yourself is actually to love someone else, and then you can love yourself by the person that you are in that relationship. So in other words, relating to other people and having relationships with other people and bonding with other people and learning how to interact with other people and get along with other people in a relationship, it's all required. That's what it takes to be in a relationship. So that's what actually makes you into your best self. You want to be your best self because you want to be happy because you've got somebody else around there that everything is mirroring off of. So that's, one of my out-of-the-box philosophies, for example. So onto the topic more deeply of relationships. We have about maybe 10 minutes, probably a few minutes that we can talk about this one. Is what are some issues people have in relationships? We said communication issues. A couple people chimed in cheating, pet peeves, lying, trust issues.
I think trust is the number one problem in any
I
relationship.
completely agree with that statement.
Absolutely. I think there's a lot of people don't trust themselves.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably half of it.
Now explain what you mean by that. Anybody can chime in with comments too. I can't see them on here,
They
but
don't trust them. I think it's honestly I think it's more of a male thing that they don't trust themselves, not to cheat or not to do
well, that's
things.
interesting. That's why men are always like, "You're too good for me."
Yeah. Yeah. I think for the most part, men think they're expected to.
Expectations
in their youth to be wild and I can't think of the word.
Can't live up to the expectations. What?
I think in their youth, men are expected to be wild.
Oh, okay.
Somewhat wild, and of course, they like it. They like it a lot.
I like it a lot.
And then it just becomes who they are. And then it comes to to the point where some of them say this isn't for me, but not too often. I know plenty of guys my age.
This relationship isn't.
No, that this lifestyle.
Oh yeah.
Isn't for me, but there's still guys my age that think like that.
Well, yeah, but most men, actually, statistically speaking, most men get married by age 30.
Yeah, and how long does that last?
I have the statistics for that on that computer. I can pull them out right now. But the statistics are actually that people that get married in high school, and I actually can even say this is true in real life because most of my friends that were married in high school, all of my friends that got married in high school are still married, except me. But I didn't make a great choice on who to marry, so that was my problem. Statistically speaking, high school sweethearts stay married the longest. The people that get married young, but didn't marry a high school, they get married in their 20s, they are often influenced by outside sources, and that creates problems which leads to divorce. The divorce rate was not 50% when everyone was saying it was 50%. This is actually a huge issue that I have. I've written tons of blogs about it. It's on my free resources on my website because it's a huge issue that we have in our nation. The divorce rate was not 50%, and 4 years, the census is 4 years. 4 years later, after the next census, the divorce rate still was nowhere near 50%, and people were saying it was 75%, because everyone was passing around the regurgitating information. You've certainly heard that most people get divorced. Everyone's heard that.
I've heard half. I've heard that half of all men.
And it's not true. It's not true. It's not true. Even the amount of people that are separated, when you add them into the mix, still didn't come up that high. So then, the next census, it had just gotten up to 48%. That's 12 years later. So now the divorce rate is through the roof because everyone thinks that the divorce rate was getting worse, so then more people started getting divorced because of rumors that were not even true. This is a true fact, scientifically true fact, that is, I have the facts on my website and in my blogs that actually give the numbers from the United States Census Bureau. That's like about as solid as you can get. So that's proof right there that negative feedback from people. The negative cliches and the negative comments that people say are not true. And then statistically speaking, the age group that actually stays married the longest is people that, like me, waited a long time to get married, and then they decided they really hated being single, so then they wanted to be married, and they stay married until death. That's actually, statistically speaking, high school sweethearts and people that waited until over 40 to get married. Those are the people that the marriages last the longest. And it doesn't have to be first marriage. It just has to be that now you've learned and you know better, and you work harder because you've lived alone. You've experienced life alone and know that you don't want to for the rest of your life.
I kind of fit both categories.
I know, me too.
I got married at 18.
Yeah.
Was married for 22 years.
Wow, Ken.
Yeah. And
Wow.
that faded away. That's another whole story. And now I've been single for 17 years.
No, you've not been single the whole time. You've had girlfriends.
Well, I've had girlfriends. I haven't been married.
Yeah.
Okay.
Me too.
But my girlfriends add up to a total of, at the most, 3 years out of them.
Yeah.
At the most.
Yeah. Well, my relationships haven't lasted a whole heck of a long time either, because I pick cheaters.
The longest one was
And abusers.
a little over 2 years.
Yeah.
That was the longest one out of all those years.
Mine last a little over a year to 3 years. That's my average. And by then I'm like, okay, this is not the movie I want to see for the rest of my life every single day.
Yep.
So
Time to flip the channel.
Yeah, and also next is, let's move on to the next section of this too. Why do we have interpersonal issues? And we've kind of actually talked about it, so we'll move on to the next thing, how to heal relationship issues. And we have 15 minutes left before 9, so our next topic will be about 10 minutes for
Where's the
career.
time go?
I know, it went to setting up and not having YouTube.
Well, it's not like it's network. We can always run a little long. I'm sorry. Inside Edition's coming up. Oh, that's right. No more Bill Riley.
Ew. No politics, no politics,
I didn't
no
say
politics. Okay, so insecure, expectations, can't live up to expectations, communication issues, cheating, pet peeves, lying. Oh, I didn't say the thing about pet peeves. Let me say this about pet peeves. Life is too short to have pet peeves. In all actuality, my pet peeves are, please put the toothpaste back on the toothpaste the toothpaste cover back on the toothpaste so that the toothpaste doesn't crust up. Because I'd like to actually use the toothpaste that's in the tube. That's not a pet peeve. That's just like, okay, common courtesy, and let's like do the right thing so our products last. The same thing with the dishwashing detergent.
Dishwashing detergent.
For the same reason.
That's
because
right.
it'll
Because
crust
it
up at the
crusts up
top.
and you can't squeeze it out of the bottle anymore.
Toilet seat cover, everybody put the toilet seat cover down. Totally all the
Everybody leave it up.
germs spread 2 feet out from the toilet every time you flush it. So every time you walk in the bathroom barefoot, you're walking on all that stuff that lived in that toilet before you flushed it.
Whatever doesn't kill you makes
Your
you stronger.
toothbrush is in the bathroom. Mine is not. But people's toothbrushes are in the bathroom where
It's more than 2 feet away from the
where
toilet.
the thing is spraying. Yeah, well,
Not
that's
much.
residual little flyers, I don't know. So, yeah, you're with me, girl. Yeah,
What?
she said, I guess I'm not typical, I've always lived outside the box. Me too. Don't stress. Oh, yeah. More people are joining in. Where were we at? Pet peeves. Okay, so pet peeves. Life is too short to have pet peeves. Instead of having pet peeves, let it go. Just let it go. And just meditate on peace. Because in all actuality, in the end, when you're on your deathbed and you're 80 or 90 or 120 years old or 145 like the Hansa tribe, then, is it really going to matter that, he left the toilet seat up? If you didn't fall in and, get gross or break something.
Well, shame on the woman for not checking if the seat's
But
down.
you don't remember because you don't leave the seat up. So I fell in a toilet seat once. I fell all in a toilet seat one time because the guy left the toilet seat up. I am not kidding you. That's why women don't like the toilet seat to be up. We are not paying attention in the middle of the night. I have no glasses on. You can't see if there's, stuff going on. I can't see either. That's why women don't like the toilet seat
So
down.
if the lid is down,
if it's all down,
altogether down,
all down, it's a compromise. If the bathroom's cleaner, and the handle's clean that you go to touch, and also I'm not going to sit in dirty water.
Wow.
Now I'm not going to, anyways, you know, the wider you get, the less you have to worry about those kind of things.
We won't go there.
So,
Pet peeve number 2.
so how to heal relationship issues. Okay, so relating with each other. Okay, so this is one of the videos that I have. This is one of my biggest teachings in life coaching, and it is this. When you're in a relationship with somebody, and it doesn't have to be an interpersonal relationship, like a romantic relationship, it could be any interpersonal relationship. I have to go like this. You can see that.
I can see.
Okay, so you're in a relationship and you're fighting. There's, you know, two full-grown adults come together with totally different ideas, totally different experiences, totally different opinions, you know, a lifetime of different experiences, different home situations from childhood, different friends, you know, everything different, different skills and talents, everything's different. So you have totally different opinions. Everyone's going to. It's inevitable. Everyone's going to have totally different opinions. So you come together now, and this is what's going to happen. There's nothing else that can, and it should be clapping because it should be wonderful, but that's not what's happening. So instead what's happening is that butting of the heads is happening. And you and you want it to go like this, and hopefully you guys can see what I'm doing. I'm doing this because it's prayer. Also, for non-Christians, the same philosophy still applies, that this is how an interpersonal relationship should happen. You two need to become interlaced together, like that, okay? So there's a thing that Eggerichs, I always say it wrong, E-G-G-E-R-I-C, I think it's K-S, it could be H-S. The Eggerichs teach this. It's a marriage workshop that is absolutely unbelievable. It's a whole conference. It's unbelievable. And it's called Love and Respect. Everyone should watch it. It's amazing. Okay, so they call it the crazy cycle. Everyone always knows this in the relationships. There's two different, we are definitely going to go a couple of minutes over, but I'm really not going to keep you guys very long. It's 10 of, it's 48. So we've still got one more topic that's going to go quickly. Okay, so the crazy cycle. You know, in your relationships, there's one person's on the wavelength of, I want to be loving, I'm happy today, I had a good day. You know, they're trying to be huggy, feely, touchy, you know, lovey. And then you're like a wall because you had a bad day, you know, you're having problems, you're grouchy, whatever. And then it's always like you get in this weird cycle in your relationship where one person is happy and then the other person's not, and then the other person's happy and then the other person's not. And it's always this, you know, thing that ends up becoming that wall again, that butting that wall. So what you have to do is you have to put a monkey wrench in that. So you put this is what it looks like. This is the crazy cycle. This is what the crazy cycle looks like. And you put a monkey wrench right in that crazy cycle. So it keeps trying to turn, but what happens is it doesn't have anywhere to go. So this is the concept of darkness cannot live where there is light. So if you're in a bad mood, we were discussing this earlier in the video, if you're in a bad mood, everything is going wrong. That's one thing bad happening after another bad thing happening after another bad thing happening. And now you're rubbing off on other people with bad things, and then they're rubbing off on other people because it's like energies, it's ripples in the water is what I always describe it as, that always ripples off to other people, and then those ripples are never ending. They just continue to go out, get spread out like that. Well, it's the same concept with this. If you have this okay, so let me describe it this way. I'm sorry, I need to take a moment here and calm down. I'm trying to go fast because we're getting to the end. It's not going to work if I go fast. Okay, so I was in a relationship before I became a born-again Christian with this guy. And he came over my house one night and he was late. And he was fully expecting me to be really grouchy, yelling at him like most women, you know, mad because he's late, mad, where were you, what were you doing, who were you with, kind of a thing. But he came over and I didn't have any of that. I was completely calm and I had no reaction whatsoever. But he comes in my house and he just got barely into the doorway and he's yelling at me. And he's like just having a totally different experience than what I'm having. It was like I was watching a movie. He was yelling at me and I was just standing there like in complete shock that this was happening. And there's nothing you can do to stop that because no matter what I said, it creates this drama with him that he really thought he was going to get in trouble. Like, who am I to be getting people in trouble? but he thought he was going to get in trouble, and he was reacting as if I was mad and as if he was in trouble. I just said, I'm sorry, you have to go, and shut the door. Because there's really nothing else I could do in that situation. I couldn't make it any better, so I just didn't want to be around it. I just wanted that away from me. And then years later, so we still dated a little while after that. There was more drama, and we just didn't date for very long. And then years later, he called and apologized to me because he realized, that these interactions that he was having had nothing to do with me, and he was cheating and he was doing other things. And so he had this guilt and these, issues that were surrounding him because negative energy is what he was feeding into the world. And so negative energy is what he was expecting to get back. And I don't have that experience, so what I want to have is positive experiences. I go out into the world, smile at somebody, try to, for the most part, try. I don't always. When I do something wrong, like I yelled at this morning, or yesterday morning, I snapped at. I actually kind of yelled at the doctor's office because I had not gotten my biopsy results for my cervical cancer biopsy. And it had been almost 3 weeks, and I was supposed to get my results a week and a half before this, and I never got my results. So I called, and then I got this weird answering service, and then I got transferred to a bunch of people, and I'm on my way to go to my job, so I didn't have time to do this. And I'm like, by the time I got somebody on the phone, I was just full-on anxiety, just, letting her have it. And I was like, I just got, passed on to a whole bunch of, through the phone line, and it's taken me 10 minutes to get through to you, and I just need to find out the results of my biopsy. I can't believe I didn't get them yet. And I got a rude voicemail message from somebody that works there saying I already got my results, which I didn't. So I need my results. And she says, okay, I'll put you through to my supervisor. So now I'm already like, all right, this is just going to get worse. And that's the same person that called me, so she got it full on. When I went to my appointment to get my biopsy results, which, by the way, came back negative, thank God, so that's all good, I apologized to the receptionist, and she said it wasn't her that actually spoke to me. So then I went around and found who it was and apologized to her at UCFS because that's not okay. My behavior was wrong. I shouldn't have yelled at that person, and it wasn't okay. So I did apologize. And that's very, very important in order to have good energy, karma, whatever you want to call it. In order to have, peace in your life, you need to be able to have that with people. The crazy cycle, if you're not, darkness cannot live where there is light, so be light. If you're light and the other person is dark, and darkness is surrounding the other person and problems are happening and you're on that crazy cycle because there's problems, and you stop it with a monkey wrench in that system, in that program, then it can't. It has no place to go. It has to die. If it can't feed, it has to die. So it's going to go elsewhere. Negative energy is going to go elsewhere because it can't survive around you. So what you do is each time, this is the most important part that people in my life coaching, they don't get this. You have to do this every single time. Thank you, guys. It doesn't come automatically. It's not like the first time you ever have good reaction with somebody, they're going to all of a sudden be like, oh, okay, great. This is going to be perfect from now on. No, it doesn't work that way. It's, okay, this is a negative interaction, and I'm stunned right now because your reaction was different. And then they're going to kind of get angry.
Oh,
they're going to get frustrated. They're going to be like, what's going on here? Yeah, exactly. And that's how they get. They get very aggressive about it.
You talking to me?
Are you talking to me? Say hello to my little friend. She's right here. So you have to repeatedly, every single time that negative energy comes at you, every single time those problems, all the attacks I got today right before doing this, every single time, something tries to knock you down or trouble starts to come your way or negative energy starts to come your way, every single time you have to let it go and you have to meditate on peace. Every single time. Purest peace, 24/7, 365, like the angels. That's how you envision it because we know what that means. That's a broad description of how everybody can understand it. Like the angels. If you live in peace, just in peace, that's all your existence is going to be. All right, we have 4 minutes to discuss career. What are some interview negotiation and dynamics issues? Why do we need action? Oh, all right, I'm not going to read that part.
We talked about this earlier.
Yes, we did, exactly. So,
In the car.
hopefully I wrote them down. I did, okay? Yes, we did. And this is my most successful workshop that I've had to date, actually. And I have successes that are, one person got a new, I was just describing this to you today. There's actually another person, too. There's a whole long testimonial, my recommendations, too, that you can read. You could get the link from me after, or go to the websites. But this other person got a job with a $12,000 raise as a result of this workshop. That's huge, and that's because there's interview questions, there's an analysis, a one-on-one, and there's actual help on how to do it. There's cheat sheets and the action plans and the cheat sheets that I use for everything. They're customized for the, that's actually, I have a binder like this. This is the first book. Obviously, this isn't what the book looks like. This is my version. But it's this size too. It's actually a little thicker than this, and it's, it'll be in a paperback format on Amazon. But you can order them from me personally as well, as an email, or you can buy them online. And the career workshop provides those cheat sheets. It provides the salary negotiations. It teaches you all of those things, so that when you're in the interview and you want them, the problems are self-confidence, feeling nervous. Excuse me. Oh, the questions you said.
What did I say? The three things when you go into the interview. The first thing they'll say, "So, Ken, tell me about yourself." And you'll sit there and you go, okay, that's the first thing you're going to get. You're also going to get, why should I hire you over someone else?
These are Ken's, and he doesn't remember them exactly.
I know, we just talked about this, so it's like, it's gone through my brain already. I have to retrieve it. Well,
So
why should I hire you instead of someone else? You have to be prepared to answer these questions.
Yeah.
Because I've had a lot of jobs in my time. I've had like 40 different jobs that I've worked at. Every one of them, pretty much, asked those questions.
Since you were a kid, 40 jobs
Since I was, when I started working when I was 13.
Yeah.
But every one of these people, the places, wanted to know, why should we hire you? What sets you apart from everyone else? Tell me why you're going to be the next person on my employee list.
Exactly.
Be ready to answer these things.
Mm-hmm. So that's what that workshop actually does. It accomplishes that goal, which was ironic that that's what we discussed. Hopefully ironic is the right word to use there, Megan.
Of course it's ironic. Because we were talking about it in the car a bit, and I rattled off these three things, and she goes, that's my video! That's what I'm talking about, my video! Exactly.
I don't have a video on that one. That's in the book.
Whatever.
That's in the book. Exactly.
But she said it was perfect, exact, whatever. I felt like,
that's in my workshop. Exactly.
Ken knows what he's talking about.
Always. Ken is the best person at answering Jeopardy if you ever have a Jeopardy question.
Oh, no, not all.
So they don't end up knowing your best traits and your best skills. They don't end up learning your skills and your best traits because you're in the interview, you're nervous. They're asking all these different questions, and, you're giving them answers to each individual question, but you don't actually, the other thing that I want to say in regards to this too is that every interaction you have with every person ever is an interview.
Yes.
Always.
Yes.
just like you need customer service in every single interaction you have with
I have a great story for this.
Oh, good. Go ahead.
I read this on, I don't know how true it is, but a guy is going to work. He gets cut off by some kid.
Oh, I know this.
Yes, he gets cut off, calls him every name in the book, and cuts him off and takes off. So the guy gets to work, and he sees someone in his parking spot. It's the vehicle that cut him off. And he goes upstairs, and his secretary says, so-and-so's here for his interview. And he opens the door, and guess who the interview is with?
The same person.
This same person that cut him off and flipped him off and called him every name in the book on the highway. You never know who will be an important person in your life.
Being prepared for any answer and leaving the interview with people knowing your best traits and skills is the most important thing. And that's what the cheat sheets answer.